Before we were using ClearVUE, trying to find and track energy usage was like stumbling around in the dark.
We needed some kind of system that would give us the granularity that we could really drill down and find out what was happening and what was going wrong, if it was going wrong.
It's really important to us that we have these sustainability targets that we set within the company because it sets us apart from our competitors, but it also helps us to build a sustainable tomorrow.
The company itself was formed in 1934. It's still a family business, but it's a global family business. In the UK, we have two facilities. We have one in Manchester, where we are at the moment, where we build pumps, and when we have another one then in Droitwich in Worcestershire, where we put those pumps into large systems. These pumps, they move fluid around buildings really in the most efficient way possible. And the markets we serve really are industrial buildings, hospitals, universities, large office blocks. We make systems as well that combine the pumps in with chillers and boilers and everything that's needed to do that. But we've also got niche markets as well in high pressure pumps for mining and for the steel industry, and also pumps for the fire sprinkler industry as well for fire safety. And then there's also another niche market in gas transmission.
So energy within the Armstrong Fluid Technology facilities is primarily consumed in production in our test rigs. The test rigs are an essential part of our business, which allows us to provide good quality and for us to test all of the products before they go out, and for us to be able to put our name on it with assurance that they are going to achieve that sustainable, efficient capability that we put on the moniker of the company.
Sustainability has always been part of our DNA, really from day one in 1934. But really about 10 years ago, we realised while we were helping our customers become sustainable through our energy efficient solutions, we needed to live that as well ourselves. And our initial goal when we first started off was to get a 20% reduction by 2020. And we did that, we achieved that. And then we set up an even tougher goal then. We said, right, we're going to sign up to the World Green Building Council, net zero carbon buildings, which is a really tough ask. So initially what we're trying to do is to get down to another 25% by the end of 2025 and around 50% by the end of 2028. And then to get to net zero for 2030, we'll probably then have to use some offsets to get that final little bit there.
Armstrong Fluid Technology's sustainable mission is to build sustainable products for the built environment. And we do this in order to help our customers to achieve their sustainability goals. We build products that have the lowest embedded carbon, and we also build highly efficient, energy-reduced products. And we do projects like solar PV for buildings, electric vehicle charging, we recycle water, we have community outreach programs, and we also do a number of efficiency programs within our buildings to try and reduce our electrical usage, including the usage of ClearVUE.
My name's Dan Smith, Director of Energy Services here at ClearVUE. I look after a team of energy managers, and we work with customers, either with or without the ClearVUE system installed, to help them with their energy solutions. Me and my team of energy managers all come from an industrial background, so we can make real tangible recommendations that is going to make a difference to the bottom line at the end of the day. ClearVUE is an energy monitoring and carbon accounting system. It's different to other solutions because not only do we have our own proprietary hardware and software that we can monitor down to granular level energy consumption, the carbon reporting is quite unique. It drills down into your Scope 1, Scope 2 and some Scope 3 emissions as well, all at the click of a button. And also you get energy managers who will look at your data for you.
We heard about ClearVUE, I heard about ClearVUE from a colleague, and the guy put it to me and said, well, this seems like a good option. Is it something that interests you? And so we got in touch with ClearVUE. They gave us a couple of presentations. I then had to kind of sell it to the board in Toronto, but that's how we really first started with ClearVUE.
When we first started talking to Armstrong, we identified what their needs were. They haven't got many big significant energy users, they've got lots of smaller energy users, so we identified that and put an appropriate monitoring system in. We could then start to identify exactly where and when they were using their energy. The install of the ClearVUE at Armstrong's was very straightforward. There was no shutdowns required. We could do it during normal working hours. One of the sites we're monitoring about 15 different circuits, 15 data points. The other site we've got about 25 circuits being monitored. So it was pretty much one day installation at each site. We were in and out and the data started flowing up to the cloud the same day that we did the installation.
It was painless. We had no power outages. Zero effect on production. The guys who actually came in did it were very professional, barrier areas off, made sure I knew where they were, what they were doing, whatever time they were here.
We usually wait about 3 to 4 weeks so we can get a good bank of data to look at. We look for the patterns and the trends for the data, and then we start to analyse it, proactively analyse it, and work out where there's potential wastage. We start to put the key findings report together. Once we get a good key findings report, we then talk to the customer and start going through the key findings report with the customer, just showing what the data is showing us. We do it in easily manageable chunks. We don't overload the customer with this because often there's an awful lot of energy savings available. We can give a total figure, but we do it gradually just so they can be actioned. We identify savings, the customer then has to action the savings. We quite quickly identified some baseload issues, i.e. when they weren't working or out of hours, they still had quite a high energy consumption. And because we've got some granular monitoring in there, we could work out exactly what circuits were using the energy out of hours. So on the initial study of the data, we identified about 20% energy savings potentially. So again, Armstrongs were pleased that there was a big hit that we could identify straight away. They're busy working through those savings that we identified.
So one example of where ClearVUE was invaluable to us, and so this is something we would have never have spotted without it. The security company that we used changed the security guard. He was then unaware that there was light switches in the stores area. So them lights were never getting turned off. What we then noticed was that we started using more power overnight in a certain area. We knew it didn't happen at weekends, and that's because the lads who came in at weekends knew that them switches were there, they turned them off. We got to that, and it was the security guard didn't know where them switches were. We turned them off, and we're back to where we should be on the overnight consumption. Being able to track your energy usage so detailed is the big one. We can actually get it down to an energy usage has gone up by, say, 3 kilowatts overnight. Why? And we know exactly where we're going, and we know exactly what we can do to put it right. And it's a lot of very small steps that make up the bigger picture, because they're the ones that you can't find without the use of, say, the ClearVUE portal.
We have weekly Teams meetings with Armstrong, and we talk about issues that they've come up with in the last week. We give them some ideas to look at moving forward, and that will continue. That works very well. Armstrong's like a weekly meeting. Some customers want it monthly. We will work with the customer and we will be as involved as the customer wants us to be.
For me, one of the key benefits of ClearVUE is having contact with an energy manager. Simon is able to drill down and find out what's going on in the energy usage in the plant. So he can spot where something's running overnight and then alert us to it, tell us about it in the Friday meeting. But also, as well as that, we get regular reports coming through as well. So it's a real benefit for us. We don't have an energy manager in our organisation. Simon of ClearVUE is our energy manager. It's great. Initially, when we moved into this plant 14 years ago, we were trying to plan for the future. So we knew we were going to go through a heavy round of product development, which would entail lots of 24/7 test runs. So we kind of reserved 2,000 kVA, but we never actually used that much kVA. It didn't matter at first because the main charge for that was on the kilowatt hour rate. But in the last few years, that's changed dramatically. So there's been a standing charge on kVA, which has meant it's cost us a lot of money for stuff that we're not using. So with ClearVUE, we're able to drill down and see what our maximum peak demand was. So we've been able to really halve that peak demand, and it's saved us an awful lot of money. So that's one part of it. The other part of it really is being able to reduce energy consumption where people have left equipment running overnight or in periods they shouldn't do, and that's been some real savings for us as well.
We had training sessions with David from ClearVUE, who was showing us how to use the portal. The great thing with David was if you have any problems, send me an email. He's probably told me how to do the same thing several times, and he's always been really cool with it. Then we have Simon, who has the meetings with us once a week. If Simon sees anything that's flagging up, he can flag that up, then we can start looking into it. It's just a really easy portal to work, and it's a really powerful tool.
It's an ongoing process. We can put targets in as well. If they want to hit a net zero target, for example, we can put that and gradually phase the energy savings in to hit whatever short, medium, long-term plan they've got. So the relationship continues. It doesn't change. It doesn't stop. There's a lot of analysis done initially, but that, like I say, continues throughout the process.
When we didn't have ClearVUE, we were kind of driving in the dark in a way. We didn't know what was going wrong when it did go wrong. You know, we knew we'd have a peak in our electricity bills or our gas bills, but we didn't know what was causing that. So that was the big problem for us then. With ClearVUE now, we're able to see clearly where those energy spikes are.
To someone who has a similar role to myself in any company, and they're not using a system such as ClearVUE, like I said before, they are stumbling around in the dark because it's almost impossible to track without the ClearVUE platform.
Sustainability is a really passionate word for the people at Armstrong. It's really important to us that we have these sustainability targets that we set within the company because it sets us apart from our competitors, but it also helps us to build a sustainable tomorrow. And through optimizing buildings and the build environments to which we're involved in, then we can do that. And I think that there's a level of pride from the people who work on the floor all the way through to the executive team about the efforts we put into sustainability and the goals we're achieving. I really think we're on the right path as a company to set ourselves apart in the world of competition, but also set ourselves apart in how we're impacting the world.
I think for any other company, any other organisation that's trying to reduce energy and get on the road to net zero, it's important they have the facility, a kind of facility that ClearVUE can offer. Previously, we went through all the big spends, solar PV, LED lighting, but then to get that final little bit to get down to net zero, we needed to be able to look at little marginal gains. And we can do that through ClearVUE because we can see where we're wasting energy, whereas before we weren't able to see that. So I'd thoroughly recommend it that somebody uses ClearVUE to give them that ability.